So, in the idea of taking a fresh start, um, I began to think about journey and some of the assumptions of having a spiritual community like Community Refuge is. And, this is becoming or has become a spiritual community focused on the practice of Buddhism, hence taking refuge, and personal growth or transformation. What makes it a community is we come together and we share our lives and time together and an activity, we practice together, and we share our personal journeys. And I think individual transformation or personal transformation is a big part of what makes this community uh, both interesting and alive. Um, so that let me like journey. That's an interesting place to start. And I began to ask myself several questions. And I loved the answer of like, what's associated with a journey. And there were lots of things that, they're very evocative, like suitcase and precious, perseverance, carousel, not necessarily linear. I'm not going to read them all. They were great. So there is some quality of journey, and it's as we were practicing, one of the thoughts that arose in my mind, because I've been thinking of how to say this, is it's not just one thing. In fact, it's probably not just two things, it's many things that get put together into a experience that collectively are called a journey. But if I could use a two-pointed metaphor, it's like right foot and then left foot, right foot and then left foot. And in one sense, on one foot, you're going somewhere, and on the other foot, you're already there. And a Dharma journey has this sort of odd, uh, evocative, challenging, you know, embrace of we are doing things that are designed to uh, deepen our understanding, change the way we look at the world, change the way we approach others, how we even experience our own lives. And yet, on a very deep level, we're just trying to be who we are. And since you are who you are, you're just coming home. You're already there. So you're at the same time going somewhere and you're already at the destination. And just, when we talk, it's like, well, which half of that polarity are we talking about? So I'd like to start with the going somewhere quality. And they're not in competition. They're actually in a dialogue with each other. So from a Buddhist point of view, we start from a general sense of how life is. And I was in a retreat last week, and I took on the grand task of a Buddhist theory of reality in 3 or 4 short sentences. And so here it goes. You have a mind. You find yourself immersed in a web of experiences, of interconnected experiences. That experience is constantly flowing like a river, and yet we're tempted to turn it into a rock. But in truth, it's more like a river than a rock. So you have a mind, you're in a web of experiences interconnected with everything else in existence, right? The experiences are constantly flowing, and there's the choice of rock or open flow. So if you start from that and the Four Noble Truths of Buddhism, there's the assertion that most of us we're pretty stuck on the rock, and we're very used or habituated to holding on to our own self-experience as solid, and then the world around us is solid. And so the journey is to progressively open, and then you close, and then you open, and then you close, and then you discover a lot about open, and then there's magic that's available, and it's a journey. And if we were being somewhat scholarly about it, that journey from at least a Indo-Tibetan point of view is divided into the foundation teachings, the teachings of the Great Way, and the teachings on immediate awakening. And each of those levels of the journey look at a different part of what it means to be the rock or to be open. Right? So it's this journey of discovery that changes you. So a person might walk into a meditation, and here's an example of the journey the person might take. A person might walk into a meditation center or a temple or encounter the teachings, and they're all upset because I don't know, they just lost a love. Somebody has passed away. They've been fired from their job. Um, Something's happened, and the painfulness and challenges of life are very poignant, and they're looking for some relief. And they sit down and they're told to, begin to look at how solidly they're holding on to things. And then that helps, right? And you get to the end of the journey, and it's like the pain actually becomes not only your companion, but your friend in helping you understand the aliveness and the vivid, penetrating quality of life. So you still have lost your loved one, or still are looking for a job, but you're experiencing the vivid, alive, open moment as very awake. And now you're at the immediate way, right? So you've gone through a journey, right? Life is still happening. So there's nothing about going on this journey that says life won't happen. Life does continue to happen. It's we're not trying to escape that. At least I'm not trying to escape that. I'm trying to inhabit my life as fully as possible. And maybe you get to, something that is, exalted with the title of awakening, and you've reached, what feels like the pinnacle of the immediate way, and someone who's pesky like me says, now what? Well, let's put compassion into action. Let's see, what does the world need from me, right? And then you start another journey, right? Just, when you woke up, um, an old teacher would have said to me, now get to work. The first part is waking up, the second part is helping out, right? So that's a quality of the journey that's going somewhere, that's adding layers of understanding and development. Right? On another part, so let's do the other part, you're really just coming home to yourself. So the same person who's walked into the meditation center or temple or encountered the Dharma teachings, and they're asked to sit down and relate with their breath and notice that their experiences are arising, and here's where you hold on. And, it's like, oh, that's me. I've come home. This is how I do it. This is how I hold on. And you're discovering yourself. You're actually like, you're already there. It's like, right. And then, somebody opens up the teachings on shunyata, on the open, empty, full quality of experience. Like, oh, right. Every moment is wide open. That's how it's been since I drew my first breath. Then it's the next breath. Then it's nothing to hold on to, but very alive, very vivid, open, empty, full. Oh, and the whole thing is touching my heart. And you're coming progressively home to yourself. Oh, and this is what it feels like to be awake. I'm sitting here in this temple or meditation center or encountering the Dharma teacher, and I'm who I was when I walked in. Somehow I'm different, and somehow I'm exactly the same person who doesn't really exist as an independent individual. It's like a riddle inside of a riddle inside of a riddle. And so there's a journey quality. And between those two, the idea that you're going somewhere and the idea that you're really just coming to where you already are, a lot of growth happens. I read a book many years ago which had this delightful title. The book and the author were quite odd, but the title was delightful, and the point that the author made, I think, was very delightful. The book was called Spiritually Incorrect Enlightenment. And the point was, if you practice for years and years and years and nothing's different, why are you bothering? And I took that to heart. And yet, as I've contemplated that, it was over 20 years ago that a friend of mine gave me that book. I've thought, yes, things are changing, and yet they're coming to be just the way they always were. but somehow I'm different in the experience of that. And so the journey of community refuge, of taking refuge, celebrating our connection with the Dharma, our connection with each other as a group of people who, practice together and explore these topics and interest, um, and our journey of both parts of that, going somewhere and coming to exactly where we are. I think that's what we're about.